Fight fans. So, word around the campfire that Francis Ngannou is actually a free agent. Free agent. And there has been, apparently, from what I hear and from what I have even heard from Dana White in some interviews and some press conferences I believe he did regarding even UFC 282 at the time, that there have been talks with him and his team. Francis Ngannou and Dana White, their teams have talked to each other, and that they have come. Things are looking good. Things are looking good on their side. They didn't give too much details, and they didn't say too much about what they were talking about. But from what Dana had said, it's looking good. So that leads to my next question: is what's gonna happen next for Francis Ngannou? Is he gonna resign with the UFC? Does he find other opportunity outside of the UFC? Is he gonna box? Is he gonna finally go in there with Tyson Fury? Is he gonna find somebody else? It leaves all these questions up. Me personally, I think that whole boxing situation, unfortunately, the knee injury that he had, the ACL, the MCL injuries that took place earlier this year, back in January, against Cyril Gane. Maybe it was even earlier than that when he got injured, but we knew about it after the fight took place in January. And there was a lot of steam there. I remember that there was like a lot. I remember there was a lot of emotion going into that fight with Cyril Gane, and how amazing he did, even with those two knees that he ended up being banged up. He looked great. Well, not as great as we normally used to seeing him, but we now know why. But we were so hyped, and we even heard about this whole Tyson Fury possible matchup, that I was super pumped about it. But now that he's been out for so long with these injured knees, and he's been on the sidelines for so long, and Tyson Fury has been doing his own thing. And he's been talking about possibly matching up with Usyk next year. We haven't really heard much about it, and no one's really talked about it. It's really been kind of like dead in the water almost. It's like it's not. There's no hype. There's no real like big urgency for it right now. So I feel the best move for Francis would be to sign not a large fight deal, but somewhat of a decent small fight deal, if possible. And I feel like the UFC won't do this because the UFC just has that. I don't know. They have this thing where they want to sign fighters long fight extensions, like 7, 8 fight deals. If I was if I was Francis, I would love to see him in a possible 3 fight deal, maybe even a 4 at most, where we can finally get the fight that we really want. Is him versus John Jones. John Jones and him need to finally happen, because that could be the biggest UFC fight, the biggest seller. This could be literally the Tyson Holyfield, something to that nature. Tyson Lennox Lewis, where it was just this big extravagant event. We look at all the pay-per-view buys regarding UFC, and I can't remember the last time there was a bigger heavyweight fight than this one. Maybe one of the biggest ones I remember was Overeem versus Cain Velasquez, or maybe Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar was around, when the heavyweight was around, it was pretty impactful. Nothing against Stipe, who held the championship for quite a while and such like that, but it just didn't have that big feel show like we had when we had Brock Lesnar around, or when we had Overeem around. When Brock Lesnar was around, it just had that big show, that big fight event was taking place between the heavyweights, because heavyweights has always been around. We always remember in boxing made it the most popular thing when Jack Dempsey, when Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, when these guys made it into something, you knew you were going to watch something. It was going to be a big event. It was going to be something special. It was going to be amazing. Even now, Tyson Fury, when he came over to Vegas and he fought Deontay Wilder, or when he fought all these other fighters elsewhere, it was going to be a big event. So now this could be that real big potential blockbuster that UFC definitely needs. The fans, we are, as the fans, need that fight. We need that fight to take place, because guys, it's by far the biggest fight that could be made. There's no other bigger fight in the UFC. I don't even know if Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz would be as big as that fight because, of course, we already know John Jones, one of the greatest light heavyweights to do it, one of the best to ever do it, and now he's moved up. He took all this time off, 3 years away. It's going to be this February in 2023. It will literally be 3 years since he's been away from the octagon and coming back. And then we got Francis Ngannou, who is just literally our generation of almost like Mike Tyson. He's had like 3 or 4 fights that lasted under a minute, all together combined. There's some of these guys go in there and they're out in like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe even less. So it's literally like one of the biggest shows we can possibly ever put together. The UFC could ever possibly put together. These guys actually wanted to fight way before he was even supposed to fight Cyril Gane. I remember John Jones talking about they want to fight each other. John Jones was almost ready to come back around that time frame, but there was a lot of playing around. There was a lot of like stalling. There was a lot of just different drama going around behind the scenes that we could not end up getting this fight. But nonetheless, that is by far the best move for Francis Ngannou, is to resign with the UFC, get this fight, possibly even a rematch, which would be that much bigger. Another fight with Stipe because they are 1-1 apiece, and maybe even a rematch with Cyril Gane because Cyril Gane is, he's still making some noise and he's still doing the damn thing. That's if Francis Ngannou could keep the belt. Nonetheless. But that just puts some steam behind him. And this gives us time to build up because I know he wants to box. He wants to have that freedom to do what he wants to do outside of the cage as well. He doesn't want to just stay in one place. He wants to really box as well. And would we want to see that with him and Tyson Fury? Sure. Down the line, absolutely. I would love to see it. I just, like I said, maybe not so much Tyson Fury. Me personally, I always felt like it would be a good fight against him and Deontay Wilder, only due to the fact that Deontay Wilder is just one person that cracks in the heavyweight division in boxing. You saw outside of Tyson Fury, he has not fought anybody and they did not go to sleep. He has literally, all his fights in a row have been all knockouts, literally. I don't think he has one decision outside of Tyson Fury. And honestly, that this first fight went to a draw, but the rest of the fights, obviously Tyson Fury pretty much got the better of him. But even Tyson Fury will tell you, like, no one hits harder than Deontay Wilder. He's never fought anybody that hit harder than Deontay Wilder. And he even dropped Tyson Fury multiple times. So, and we will remember that Undertaker, that first fight where, he almost looked like he had Tyson Fury out in that last round in their first fight. So that to me would have always been a very exciting fight. So if, like, let's say, for example, and we're playing hypothetical here, that Francis Ngannou decides to fight or decides to stick with boxing, maybe for the first year of 2023, vacates the heavyweight title, and decides to go against, you know what, I'm going to go against Deontay Wilder. I'm going to build my boxing name. He goes up to whoever promotes Deontay Wilder, says, hey, let's do this. Let's build his name up. And then maybe he gets that win, calls out Tyson Fury, we got ourselves a show. We definitely got ourselves a show. Maybe he does that, because I don't want to see Francis Ngannou really too much against someone like Tyson Fury. I mean, of course, I would love the show. I would love the event. I would love the fight. But I just feel like Tyson Fury would just pretty much box his face off. Just jab, jab, straight jab. That's it. Dance around, jab. Tyson Fury is one hell of a slick boxer. He is a beautiful, beautiful slick boxer. So it would not be something that easy for Francis Ngannou to get past. Francis Ngannou is not a boxer. He's not really even much of a real solid striker. A lot of his fights, even when he lands his punches, his opponents go to sleep. So he hasn't really had to lean too much on his striking because his power has just been so deadly. So outside of Deontay Wilder, who's is a really good fighter himself. Like I just said, the only person he's lost to was Tyson Fury, who's by far one of the greatest fighters to ever do it. But he doesn't have pure boxing skills either. I'm talking about Deontay Wilder. So that would actually be a very fun matchup. Possibly another fun matchup would be him and Anthony Joshua. Only reason I say that is because Anthony Joshua, hasn't been really well known to be taking good shots. And if he gets landed by Francis Ngannou, that would be one hell of an upset there too, to knock out one of the greatest heavyweight champions too. Maybe not the greatest, but one hell of a heavyweight champion in his own right. I'm talking about Anthony Joshua. So yeah, he could build up a Tyson Fury fight and make some real big money, because that's what it's all about. He ain't never going to see, he might make some really big money against a John Jones, but he may not see as big as he could against those three opponents. Like I said, a Deontay Wilder, a Anthony Joshua, and a Tyson Fury. You're talking about possibly close to 100 million within those three fights, and it'll take him probably like 10, maybe 15 fights to see that kind of money in the UFC. So maybe less, could be wrong, maybe 5, 10 fights, depending on what kind of negotiations they do for his contract. So right now, those are the two moves I could see. I personally would like to see him in the UFC. I would love to see him against this John Jones, make this fight finally happen, and hopefully within this contract they allow him to go box because it's not going to hurt the brand. It's not going to hurt anything. Their champion versus their champion. It's just all not really necessary fun and games, but they are still going to make some money out of it, and it's definitely entertaining. It's definitely interesting. We saw Floyd Mayweather do it against Conor McGregor. It really didn't hurt the brand. Look at, Conor McGregor went over there, boxed Floyd Mayweather, came back, and was able to have the biggest pay-per-view draw against Khabib. So, like I said, it's not going to do anything bad to their champion or bad to the brand, and it's not going to diminish anything. So, I would love to see it, but hopefully we'll see what happens. But let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think Francis Ngannou's next move is going to do? Is he going to sign the UFC? Is he going to sign with some kind of boxing promoter? Is he going to possibly even go to Bellator? Who knows? Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.